Welcome to another special virtual edition of Leaders in Coffee here on Gables Insider, this special election edition. Today we're joined by Coral Gables City Commission Group 2 candidate, Claudia Miro. Claudia, welcome to Leaders in Coffee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Claudia, what motivated you to run for City Commission?
Well, that's simple. I've been a resident of Coral Gables for over 15 years, and I started seeing that there was a lot of buildings popping up all over the Gables, and my neighbors and I, no one was aware of what was going on and how this was happening. Some of the buildings were out of character, and I started realizing also some of the attitudes that were coming from the dais as far as when residents were trying to express their opinions or voice their concerns. And I wasn't happy with that. So I decided that, I could no longer sit on the sidelines, if you will, and had to do something and get involved.
So the city's current rate of development has been a bit controversial of late. What would you do to address it?
Well, I think it's important to, one, have more transparency. I think residents need to be more involved in the process, more aware of what's going on. One of the things I keep talking about is, in order to achieve that transparency, is to move to alternate commission schedules. A lot of the meetings that I was attending on Zoom, the residents would have questions about when did this happen or when did that happen, and city staff would reference previous meetings, and no one was aware of those meetings. No one went to those meetings. So I think to be more inclusive and to be more transparent, I think we should have some commission meetings at nighttime so that folks who have jobs or other daytime commitments can attend those meetings and be a part of the process. Additionally to that, I also think that if we're going to have more residents involved and keep them engaged, we have to make sure that they understand what's going on. And I feel that even myself going to these meetings, I was at a loss for some of the legal jargon or some of the technical jargon that they were using. So I would also move to stop the use of acronyms during our public meetings and have city staff speak in layman's terms so that our residents can understand what is being discussed and, more importantly, how that is going to impact them and their daily life.
The development also brings us to traffic. It has brought a lot of traffic gridlock to the city. How would you address our traffic gridlock as it is today?
Well, that's a tough one, because right now my concern is when you see these high rises right now, a lot of them are still under construction, or they're not full, or residents haven't started moving in. So I'm concerned that once those residents start moving in, what we're going to start seeing in the morning and the afternoon rush, right, when everybody's going to work or when everybody's coming home from work, that gridlock that's going to form. I mean, we have to look at alternative options to reroute the traffic and see if we can avoid having that gridlock. And also a big concern is going to be that cut through traffic that we already have in so many of our streets. I know my street, I live on Madeira. It's a huge cut through street. I think we should rename it to the Indy 500 because the cars just dash through here. And it's concerning. It's concerning to me because, number one, the traffic gridlock is going to be an eyesore for anyone who's here. Number two, the cut through traffic is a safety issue, a huge safety issue. We have a lot of our residents who love to exercise, walk on our sidewalks, jog. I even see skateboarding now, and then pushing their children on their strollers or walking their dogs. And that's just a big danger to have these cars cutting through there at high speeds, also while they're texting on their phone. So that's something that is a huge initiative that I would definitely be hands-on about.
You touched upon transparency earlier. Residents have also been concerned about their input in the process of decisions made by government. What would you do to increase resident input in government decisions?
Well, I think the first thing is that, we're here to listen. Communication is a two-way street. It's not just the commission telling us what they're going to do. I think we've forgotten, and this is one of the key reasons why I ran for office. I have to tell you, Ariel, I worked in public sector for the last 20 years. I've worked for elected officials my whole life, and you have to listen. You are not there. I'm not going to be, as commissioner, elected to put in the ideas that Claudia has. I'm there to be a mouthpiece to what the residents want. And I think we need to bring that back to City Hall, where the input of the residents is of utmost importance, and it's first and foremost. We're just there representing them. Now that I'm running for office, I'm running to be that voice. I want to be that commissioner that's accessible, the commissioner that's approachable, that anybody can call and talk to, and that they can feel certain that they're going to have my ear and it's not going to be blown off, and that's going to turn around and be their mouthpiece and is going to say, well, I hear this side, I hear that side, but here's a side that needs to be at the table. The community is saying this, the residents in this neighborhood want that. And I think that that's a huge piece of the pie that has been missing out of the equation.
What message do you send residents who are still undecided in this race?
Well, I asked them to consider, Coral Gables has a very educated voting mass. I think that our residents are educated, they're informed, they're involved, they read the Gables Insider, right? So I think that we need to make educated decisions. And I would say it's good to have the desire to run. I think it's also good to see where that desire comes from. I'm not using this as a stepping stone for political reasons or to continue a political family name. I'm doing this for the right reasons. And not only that, I not only have the desire to serve, but I have the ability to serve. With the 20 years experience working in government at the city, at the county, at the state level, working sessions in Tallahassee, I'm very familiar and knowledgeable about the legislative process. I know how to get the job done. So that's going to be important for residents, that you're going to have someone in there that's going to be able to hit the ground running right away and is going to be able to solve and know how to solve the problems. Of course, there's always going to be a learning curve, but it's not going to be the kind of learning curve that is going to take a year or two to figure out, hey, what's going on or how things work, how things get done. So I think I appeal to the Coral Gables voter, because they say, well, you know what, Claudia Miro, she knows how to get the job done. She's a single mom. I think it's takes a lot of courage to run for office. A lot of people, we have a lot of good people in our community who stay away from running for office because they end up running against big family names, big political family names. There's a lot of money that needs to be involved. So I'm doing this from the bottom of my heart because I care about my community, because I want my son to have the same Coral Gables that I've had. And I'm concerned about, the quality of life changing for my son's generation and future generations. And I come to you as a humble servant. I promise to remain humble and accessible, and not have that hubris that we see that's coming from the dais at sometimes during these public meetings. I want to serve. I know how to serve. I know how to get the job done. And that's my appeal to our Coral Gables residents, to consider voting.
Claudia Miro, candidate for City Commissioner in Group 2. Thank you so very much for joining us once again. Good luck this election.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ariel.
And thank you all for watching. Tune in next time for another special election edition of Coral Gables Leaders and Coffees on Gables Insider.